This is my thoughts, my opinions on different things around sports. This is the first episode. So, as it goes, hopefully things will get smoother. Production, audio, video, whatever it may be. First topic I want to hit on, it's about the George Pickens trade. Now, I have a lot of friends that are Steelers fans, and some of them reached out to me and talked to me about that trade at the time. It was a few weeks ago, and one of them specifically, won't name names, he reached out to me, texted me, just wanted to know my thoughts on it. Kind of like this, why the podcast is up now. We talked a lot about the status of the Steelers on the trade, because it felt more like a loss for the Steelers than a gain for the Cowboys, if that makes sense. So, thought process is this. You gotta take this ride with me. This is how my mind works when I first heard about the trade, because I'm a Cowboys fan. So you would think it would be like truly the Jerry Jones experience. We are going all in. As many of you listening to this would know, that simply is not true, and they don't go all in ever. So, this is an all-in move without a roster around it that's all in. I don't love the trade as a Cowboy fan. Does it make them better this season? Yes, I will admit it does. But maybe by 1 or 2 games, not by an exponential amount that will matter for a deep playoff run. That's my opinion. Thoughts on that? George Pickens' contract is expiring. The reason the Steelers wanted to shop George Pickens was because he had no more time left on his contract without them giving him a huge extension. Long story short, the Cowboys aren't going to give George Pickens that extension. It's not going to happen. They already have CeeDee Lamb under contract on a huge contract. They're still negotiating for an unreasonable amount of time with Micah Parsons that they should just pay. If they would have paid months ago, it would have been so much cheaper than it's going to be when they actually pay him, because they're going to pay him. And if they don't, and they trade him, then what was all of this about? Well, it's the same with the Steelers. The Steelers didn't get in a huge debate negotiating with George Pickens before they shopped him and traded him. They just traded him. That's good business. The Cowboys don't do good business anymore. They haven't since the 90s. But anyways, this is not a Cowboys rant. This is just my thoughts. George Pickens doesn't make the Cowboys win the Super Bowl this year. I don't think anyone, even Jerry Jones, thinks it does. I think it buys you time to feel like you went all in, but really, he's not paying him the extension, so he's still only paying George Pickens a small contract. He's not losing that much money. He gains media attention from it and fan interest. But in reality, you have Dak. We know what Dak is. We know what his ceiling is. You have a first-year head coach in Brian Schottenheimer. This isn't a team that goes all in. Like, not the Cowboys themselves. With this roster, I don't think you invest like they did in the George Pickens trade to feel like you're all in. It's an all-in move because it's just for this year. You're not extending him. And by trading for him right now, with 1 year on the contract, you're not trading him to someone else. Like, you're not trading for George Pickens to flip him to someone else and get a better draft pick than you trade for him. It's just not reality. It's not how the NFL or the business of the pro sports works. So you got him to play him this 1 year and then let him walk. I like it in a vacuum. You are better this year. They are better after making the trade. And the Steelers are worse. But the Cowboys are not, they're not structurally built to go all in right now. The all in jokes in the past was because Jerry was saying it prior to free agency. When Derrick Henry was available, it looked like you had other players that would be available, bring back Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, whoever it may be at the time frame, that it's like, okay, if he's going all in, I don't think Devontae was available. I think he was up for trade around that time. You could picture an all-in where you go get all of these people, and it becomes realistic. It's simply not right now. Like, it just doesn't meet your timeline. So, that's the Cowboys' perspective on it. The Steelers' perspective on it, my thoughts, I don't love it for them either. I love it for the Steelers. Once again, in a vacuum for this year, the Steelers aren't winning the Super Bowl this year. I'm sorry to all of my beloved friends that are Steelers fans. You're just in the same boat as me as a Cowboys fan. I'm just keeping it real. They're not winning this year. So, George Pickens or not. So, getting the equivalent of a second-round pick or so for George Pickens is just the same as trading your second-round pick for a DK Metcalf. It's a wash, really, but I understand trading George Pickens under the assumptions that you're looking to the future. You're getting the assets, the draft capital. You're not focused on this year. But everything the Steelers do contradicts. Like, if they go get Aaron Rodgers, you're 100% supposed to be going all in right now. He would be the oldest quarterback in the league. He's already won a Super Bowl. You know what he is. And I do believe current day Aaron Rodgers, with enough help around him, could win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying he would. I'm not saying it would be likely. But I'm saying, compared to a 45-year-old Tom Brady, which he's not Tom Brady, but with the roster around him, it would be, I could see it before I could see Dak with a average roster. Like, comparable, the Steelers would jump if you get Aaron Rodgers compared to a Mason Rudolph, or just biding your time with rookie Will Howard. Will Howard is probably the reason you trade George Pickens, in my opinion. They're going to trust Will Howard, is my guess, because of stuff like the George Pickens trade. I think they're looking to the future. Now, if they sign Rodgers, which it seems likely, even the schedule makers believe they will, considering they gave the Steelers the Jets in the first game. If you sign Rodgers, it still feels like just spinning the tires. You're going to have a winning season. You're not probably going to win the Super Bowl with the current roster without feeling more going all in. Let me put it this way. They keep saying go all in, and everybody throws that around with the Cowboys and whoever they're talking about. There's evidence of going all in. Think about the Rams a couple years ago, or a few years ago at this point, when they won the Super Bowl. Going all in is when, a year prior, you have Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald. And that's your team. I mean, that is your big three. But the problem is this isn't basketball. You need a whole 53-man roster to produce to win a Super Bowl. They went all in. I mean, that next year, they traded like 3 or 4 years worth of draft capital. It was crazy. So, then you're looking at a roster going into that year. Stafford, Kupp, Odell, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd's not no. You forget I said Leonard Floyd. He's a dog, but no. They, and Odell at that point was out of his prime, but you get what I'm saying. They went all in. They said, these are the people, vets, either a little out of their prime, or just the fact of this many vets, right now, this is how you do it. The Patriots' whole philosophy when they were the dynasty was, it was the people past their prime that were vets that knew what they were doing, going to get a Randy Moss, or whoever it may be, or all the Bengal running backs they you know what I mean, took at the end of the Brady era, and would just keep chugging them until they ran out of gas, and they kept winning doing it. They knew how to construct the roster at the time. They don't now. Sorry to the Patriot fans watching this. I know friends and family that would be. But they're looking good. This isn't a Patriots conversation, but I think they're on the upswing this year. We'll see. It's for another time. But for the Steelers' outlook, you're not going all in. You're not that Rams roster. It's just not. So if you go get Rodgers, you're just spinning the tires. If you stay away from the Rodgers situation, you play a Mason Rudolph half the year. Remember that it's Mason Rudolph. They'd know that going in. Give Will Howard the keys. See what he can do. He won a natty at Ohio State last year. Yes, Ohio State's roster relative to college football landscape compared to Steelers' current day roster compared to, the Chiefs out there, the Eagles out there, the Lions out there. Roster's a little different, but he would have time to develop. You already traded George Pickens for the draft capital. You'd be able to move off some other older pieces if you wanted to. I guess you would keep DK. He would be a good replacement of Pickens. He would actually be a better character guy for a wide receiver one to be with a young quarterback that would need the stability and not chaos of a George Pickens possibly. But if they go get Rodgers, I don't like the trade. And if the Cowboys stay pat, I don't like the trade for them. I don't really. It satisfies what they like, but I think at this point we have to be honest with ourselves and say they're both probably dysfunctional franchises. I know Cowboys have heard that for years. I've heard it for years as a Cowboys fan. I don't think the Steelers hear it enough as it pertains to the comparability between the two. They're dysfunctional in their own ways, but what it is, they're set in their own ways. Jerry Jones refuses to use free agency. He just wants to draft his own players and prove that he did it himself. And the Steelers will not invest in offense. They will not. This is the 5th year in a row that they have the highest paid defense in the NFL. But it doesn't equal any playoff success. They've went 8 years, I believe it is, without a single playoff win, which is getting up there in the all-time record books. So, that's really what I want to hit on. That was my thoughts with the Cowboys and Steelers trade for George Pickens to Dallas. Give me your thoughts in the comments, or anything you disagree with or you like that I said, or whatever your takes may be, and I'll try to get back to you in the comments if I see any questions or any thoughts that I want to add to or comment on. So, that's the end of the NFL discussion for this first episode.